Okay, next up on the agenda, 7:30 is a complaint that dogs owned or kept by Stephen and Karen May at 44 Cumberland Street are nuisance or dangerous dogs.
My name is Greg Corbo, Town Council for the Town of Abington, and I'll be assisting the board with processing this complaint based on allegations that two dogs are nuisance or dangerous dogs as defined in the Massachusetts general laws.
Jeremy Cohen, representing Karen May, Steve May. Karen is obviously here, and then the only other person we have is by phone, Jim Crosby. He's our dog bite expert.
Thursday, June 4th, 2020, a little after 8 o'clock in the morning, I left my house at 71 Morton Street to go for a walk. And when I got to the end of Morton Street, it's actually Morton Street Extension, it's a little, and I met Karen and her two dogs, and we said hi to each other. And one dog, a pit bull, ran full tilt at me. I was only a few feet away, and the leash slipped from her grasp. The dog grabbed me by the right ankle, knocked me down, bit my foot through my sneaker. She got the dog off of me. I fell backwards, I was on my back. And as she got the dog off of me, her other dog came over and bit me on the arms. I was on the ground. She got the dogs away, asked me if I was okay, and then I went home.
An important thing to know here is that the Mays, where they live, they continue to live there for one reason, and it's their 98-year-old neighbor next door who lives alone. Her husband died, I think, in 1965, or when she was 65. She's 98, and they started off getting her mail, paying her bills, and now they're her only family. If they're trying to keep her aging in place. Once that her situation changes, they plan to move anyway. But I think it's important to know that they, at least on one half, they're good neighbors on one side. Tonight, we're asking that the dogs be deemed nuisances. And I provided it, but essentially the definition of nuisance can be a dog that attacks, but its actions weren't grossly disproportionate under all of the circumstances. So I think the most important circumstance, which we didn't hear about, is that the parties, they never greeted and said hello. Before the bite, as our coming up Morton on Cleverly.
Excuse me, Mr. Cohen, through you to the chair. If you're going to have a description of the incident, I think we need to have it from a witness.
Okay, so let me just walk us through where we're going.
Okay, thank you.
You'll hear testimony that neither party could see each other with the hedges there. So just as Ms. Bergen was startled by my client and the dogs, so was my client startled, and the dogs were startled. A difference now is that she would never walk both dogs at the same time. So she's agreed, no matter what, to walk one dog per one adult. And you'll hear testimony that the dogs, if they're ever in the yard on a tie-out, are only in the yard on a tie-out with an adult. So they're never just left outside. These dogs don't like to be outside that often. And you'll hear from our expert, Jim Crosby. This is important because there are scales of bites, which he'll walk us through briefly, but he's had a chance to look at everything that you've seen up to anything that you were handed today. He knows about the dogs running at the car, although they stayed on the leash. He's seen the photos, and he's seen the descriptions. So, as we're asking that they be deemed nuisance dogs, they be, mistakes happen. This was a mistake. You'll hear from Karen how sorry she is. She's been trying to pay the bills from the beginning, but obviously they're not that big. But she's offered from 10 minutes after the incident, she was calling her. So at this time, I'd like to have, since we've just heard about the bites, have Jim Crosby. Jim, can you just introduce yourself, give a brief description of what you do and how long you've been doing it, and just tell us what you saw through the evidence that's been submitted.
Pretty quickly, most of my work is as a expert consultant on dog aggression, dog bites, dog bite investigation, dog behavior, the evidence issues and legal issues around that. For background, I am a certified behavior consultant, as certified by the Council for Certification of Professional Dog Trainers.
What can you tell us about the bites to the foot? We believe the bites to the foot or the ankle were from Murphy. What are we looking at? When we look at those pictures, if we have them in front of us, as you probably do, the top one, we're looking at a mark on the right top foot and then on the right of the right ankle.
Correct. I'm looking at the photographs, and what I see are two puncture or apparent puncture defects. Both of them appear to be quite shallow. The reason for saying that is because the puncture wound on the top of the foot is directly over the bones of the tarsals, or the long bones in the foot. The bite or the puncture on the ankle is directly over the knobby bone that you have in your ankle. It's called the tarsus. The skin and muscle in both of those locations is very thin, so a puncture wound that does not cause a medically noted defect to the bone beneath is by definition quite shallow. This is a minor bite. According to the scale developed by veterinary behaviorist Dr. Ian Dunbar, which is probably the most widely accepted scale in the world as far as I know, and that I've been using and teaching for 20 years, this would be what's called a level 3 bite. That being a bite that involves 1 to 4 holes less in depth than half approximately the length of the dog's canine tooth. This bite is consistent with a level 3 bite, which is the lowest level of bite that involves actual breaking the skin. To contrast that, many of the bites I work are level 6, which are fatalities. This was a minor single engagement, engage and withdraw, we call it, bite.
In your opinion, we're looking to see whether these dogs are a nuisance dog or a dangerous dog. So, can you tell us what your opinion is of that and why? And focus on the fact that neither dog fully engaged here the way a dangerous dog would.
Yes, according to the statute, and I'm looking at it now to refresh my memory, as provided under statute, these dogs would at most appear to be nuisance dogs. There was no severe injury inflicted. These are both minor bites. These were single engagements. These were bites that were, frankly, controlled and moderated by the dogs. Either one of them could have done much more damage. And the fact that both the person bitten and the dog's owner and the dogs were startled informs me that this was a quick, again, startle reaction.
Are these dogs dangerous?
No, they do not meet the standards set by Massachusetts law as dangerous, nor does their behavior in this incident rise to a level that I would call disproportionate or I don't remember exactly how you put it, but this was not a disproportionate or dangerous response.
The order would read that Murphy be muzzled anytime that he is outdoors, that both dogs shall be walked on leashes no longer than 4 feet in length, that if the dogs are tied up in the yard or are otherwise outdoors, they shall be under adult supervision, that the dogs shall only be walked by 1 adult per dog, and that the dogs shall be trained by an accredited program approved by the animal control officer.
Somebody want to make that motion?
So that was my motion.
Any more discussion? All those in favor of making that order?
Aye.
Aye. That's unanimous from the board. Thank you.